Alright, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory unto the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, Bashem Kakadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone Well, who teach us truth through the Spirit and power, Yahweh Bashem Yoshai. Peace and citation to the Akim Nemaudi, pushing the gospel and sincerity and truth. This is your brother Quara from Trinidad Camp, coming into with another lesson to feed the elect at the house of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Now, the title of this lesson, some say Adam and Eve were literal, brothers and sisters, and it was incest. The children, Cain and Abel, we come from incest, and they don't have the understanding, even when they talk about the rib, the Lord took the rib from Adam, they look at it like if the Lord took an actual rib, like the Lord make a cutty flesh and take out one of the rib and put it into a woman, then if that was the case, then man would have been short of a rib. Woman would have more ribs than a man, and that is not the case. They don't have the understanding. Right, so let's go into it here a bit. Alright, there's Genesis 2 and verse 20. You see, and Adam gave names to all the cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But Adam, there was not found a helpmate for him. And the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord power had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. Right now, the Lord, they understand that when the Lord, Adam just doesn't mean one man, but creation. Because when the Lord create mankind, he didn't create just one man, right? He create in abundance. But they were the sons of God, the sons of men, and the sons of the wicked. They were nations there. There were more than one people, right? Now, it did have a man named Adam, right? Out of Adam, out of the creation, right? So the sons of God, right, the Lord took, right, a woman from the Adamites, like how we are the 12 tribes of Israel. We are family, we are relatives, right? The Lord took a woman of the Adamites to place with Adam, right? When you go into Genesis 5 and 1, he said, "This is the book of the generation of Adam, and the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam." He called their name, both male and female, called their name Adam, right? I was of his creation. So it doesn't mean one man and one woman, no, right? Had other nations, other people there, right? Mixed multitude, right? A precept in 2 Samuel. I think it is Samuel. 2 Samuel 5 and 1. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Right? Just bear with me a sec. Right? I'll read it back. 2 Samuel 5 and verse 1. He said, Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. It's meaning, kingship, share identity, meaning we have your own people, belong to the same family member, we share the same ancestry. Basically the tribe saying that you are not a foreign ruler, you are one of us, right? Of the 12 tribes of Israel. So what the Lord do? He took a woman from amongst the tribes, basically, and give unto Adam. It was no C-section or no cutting of the ribs and taking out the form, right? The nations were already created. The people were already there. The nations were there, right? When you go into the book of Ezekiel 31 and 8, when they talk about the trees that were in the garden of God, these trees represent what? People, nations. That's why when you read it down, they say that all the trees that were in the garden of God envied him. Envied who? Envied Adam. Right? So I go to Genesis 29. Genesis 29 and verse 11. You see, and Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son. But here what Jacob said, that he was her father's brother, right? But here it see that he was his sister's son. Right? So basically when you look at it, every Jacob descendants are brothers and sisters. But are they brother or sisters of my mother or father? They are not, but of our ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. So just like our boy say, I'm a Akia, I'm a brother, but are we of the same mother and father? No, we are not. But we are of the same 12 tribes of Israel. Right? So these were, right? Jacob told her. But she didn't understand. Right, so we read it back. You see, and Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his head. Selach lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. Right? Verse 14, you see, and Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him in the space of a month. Right? So Laban saying, boy, he is my family, he is my brethren. Right? He is my family member, but he is my bona fide. He is my blood. Right? We have the same people. Same 12 of the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? So when you go back into Genesis, right, 20 and 23, and Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. It doesn't mean that he's his literal sister. We have of the same stock of Israel, same bloodline of Israel, of the 12 tribes of Israel. We are family, we are of the same kingmanship. Right? It's Genesis 14 and 12. You see, and they took Lot Abraham's brother's son, which will be his nephew, who dwell in Sodom, and his goods and depart. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram, the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, the brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the woman also, and the people. So first we see, he say his nephew, but then it's saying his brother. So as I say, every Jacob descendants are brothers and sisters, but are they brother and sister by the same mother and father? No, they are not. But of our ancestors of the same 12 tribes of Israel, just as we will greet and say, I'm a brother. We are bona fide, of the same bloodline of the 12 tribes that are Jacob. Alright, there's close off for this last precept here. There's Matthew 12 and 47. He said, Then one said unto him, Behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told him, Who is my mother, and who is my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples, and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father in heaven is the same my brother and sister and mother. Right? So Adam and Eve were not literal brothers and sister. The seed is incest. Cain and Abel, they come from incest. But we got some people, that say these things. So, hope the lesson was edifying. We get some clarification on it. And with that, hope it was edifying. I'd like to give all praises, glory unto the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem Yoshai Bashem Okakadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone well. Peace and salutation to the Akim Nemo, who pushing the gospel in sincerity and true daily brother. Quora from Trinidad Camp saying Shalom.